During World War II, the SS troops ranked among the fiercest, most fanatical and brutal combatants. When Allied forces faced off against an SS unit, they quickly realised these adversaries would resist to the bitter end. SS members had been indoctrinated to view surrender as impossible, prompting them to deplete every round of ammo before resorting to desperate measures to keep battling. Numerous SS officers and enlisted men ended up in Allied custody amid the conflict, yet plenty met instant, savage deaths, shot outright instead of being escorted to rear lines for formal POW processing. This harsh treatment intensified after the D-Day landings. The Allies had little interest in capturing such foes, viewing the SS as a uniquely perilous threat. That perception hardened further once reports of concentration and extermination camps filtered through to them, fueling a drive for personal retribution aimed squarely at high-ranking SS leaders. So, what explained the post-capture executions of SS officers? The Schutzstaffel, or SS, stood as one of history's largest paramilitary groups, directed by Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler. They took charge of guarding concentration camps and orchestrated countless horrors in territory seized during the war. The organisation fielded an armed wing called the Waffen SS, serving as its frontline fighting elements. Himmler aimed to endow his forces with the same esteem as the long-standing German military, and Hitler authorised him to build a dedicated combat arm. At first limited to 4 divisions, this force soon swelled beyond 20. It forged a devoted force of roughly 500,000 troops, mirroring the command setup of the standard Wehrmacht. Though Hitler occasionally harboured doubts about the Wehrmacht, he relied heavily on the Waffen SS as the Reich's staunchest Nazis. Beyond top-tier combat drills, SS recruits underwent intense ideological conditioning in Nazi doctrine, rivaling their weapons handling and field manoeuvres. Initially, Himmler restricted enlistment to men of Germanic or Aryan descent. On the front lines, however, they proved savage opponents. They waged what they saw as a holy war against Bolshevism and the Soviets in the East, unleashing unspeakable crimes with impunity. Their offences against non-combatants included widespread rapes of women in subjugated areas and abductions of children who were shipped to Germany for upbringing in Aryan households. Yet SS figures, particularly officers and senior ranks, frequently faced summary execution rather than POW status throughout the war, especially as it dragged into its final phases. Within the Nazi regime, they held a chilling central role as the vanguard of Hitler's worldview. Although the Allies lacked any formal directive to gun down SS personnel, such incidents arose for various compelling factors. To Allied troops, the SS didn't qualify as ordinary fighters or standard army personnel. Unlike the conventional Wehrmacht, the SS operated as politicized zealots, pledging allegiance directly to Hitler rather than to Germany or the nation. Their duties stretched well past the battlefield into systematic slaughter, suppression and intimidation, with multiple units implicated in outrages spanning the continent. By 1944, countless Allied servicemen saw SS members not as legitimate warriors entitled to mercy and decent POW conditions, but as uniformed thugs unworthy of combatant protections. This mindset, that they weren't mere soldiers and thus merited no such leniency upon capture, often triggered on-the-spot killings. Compounding matters, the SS earned infamy for slaughtering captives, including enemy POWs. Their outfits gained a grim notoriety for liquidating seized foes, particularly along the Eastern Front. Even in the West, during the Ardennes campaign in the Battle of the Bulge, SS units massacred American soldiers, claiming 84 POWs. Similar fates befell Canadian forces after D-Day, where troops from the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitler Youth executed 158 prisoners. They also targeted the injured and medics. Consequently, Allied outfits adopted a hardened stance, echoed by survivors. If the enemy refused to spare our captives, we wouldn't hesitate with theirs. It amounted to an eye for an eye approach. This act went beyond mere retaliation like an eye for an eye. It constituted a war crime, breaching international laws of warfare regardless of any justification framed as reprisal. The harsh realities of the combat zones further promoted on-the-spot executions. Engagements with SS troops typically occurred at point-blank distances, in utter disarray, and continued until the bitter end with no quarter given. These SS members had been brainwashed to battle with unyielding zeal, and quite a few would pretend to give up, only to grab their arms once more and resume the assault. Through deadly lessons learned the hard way, Allied troops came to understand that trusting an SS capitulation could prove fatal and jeopardize their own survival. In the grueling combat setting, resources for securing detainees were limited. Rear areas weren't always secure, making prisoner transport a risky endeavour. Hauling SS personnel back to base or processing sites could hinder advancing units amid ongoing firefights. Attempting such moves was highly perilous and hinged on the compassion and resolve of the Allied fighters. Thus, executing detained or yielding SS personnel emerged as a ruthless, unlawful expedient, fueled by the drive to stay alive. As Allied troops pushed forward and freed sites of horror like Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen, Dachau and Mauthausen, numerous servicemen confronted systematic slaughter on an industrial level for the first time. They had battled across France and deep into the Reich, yet nothing prepared them for death on this magnitude. The liberators' responses were visceral upon seeing skeletal bodies heaped in enormous stacks, communal burial pits filled with remains, and inmates teetering on the brink of oblivion. SS personnel nabbed close to these facilities frequently met immediate execution, particularly if the captors had taken part in the rescues. Most of these were frontline troops, not camp overseers or personnel. Still, the shared SS markings on their attire led to identical treatment. The Allies made no distinction between Waffen SS combatants and the Totenkopf units. It's crucial to note that SS ranks, especially the senior ones, embodied the Third Reich's staunchest ideological fanatics. Capturing such officers felt like a major victory to foes, as these were individuals eager to command killings, atrocities, and the slaughter of Allied captives. The Allies grasped this reality, leading to harsh handling of some leaders, yet the SS emblem alone precluded any leniency. In the war's closing stages, those runes on a collar signalled a future convict of war crimes. The Nuremberg proceedings later classified SS affiliation as a crime in itself, prompting many to strip away badges or impersonate Wehrmacht regulars. A few went as far as scorching their blood-type tattoos, which Allied patrols diligently checked to unmask them. Simply wearing the SS garb could seal a soldier's fate between life and death. Although the execution of surrendered SS was unsanctioned and against regulations, the Allies maintained no formal directive to liquidate SS prisoners exclusively. Plenty were apprehended, questioned, and eventually faced tribunals or legal actions. Numerous participated in post-war reckonings, including Nuremberg. Yet in the heat of the battlefield, particularly in 1945, order frequently eroded, muddying ethical lines. In essence, SS officers tended to be gunned down instead of taken alive, viewed as fanatical murderers rather than warriors. Their history of slaughtering POWs was well documented, and clashes with them were savage and unrelenting. Fury boiled over among Allies upon uncovering the group's horrors, with the SS attire standing for wholesale genocide. While these acts were themselves war crimes, they arose from a conflict where the SS had obliterated any chance for clemency. Appreciate you tuning in. If the content sparked your interest, consider hitting subscribe. Thanks again for your time on this video.